Raiden is his crony with the hat, and the Grand Inquisitor is Quan Chi. Like, I'm gonna actually send you the pictures that I want you to use. The Quan Chi one looks just like the Grand Inquisitor. It's so funny.
Hey everyone, and welcome.
Hello there.
Why Are You Still Here? And if you didn't get it from that, we're obviously talking about our first thoughts on.
And if you want to share your first thoughts on the show, don't be afraid. Leave us a comment and a like.
Yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, Leia. Leia.
I thought her name was Luma.
Oh, that's right. That was Leia was my wife's name. Obviously, I'm trying to purposely do a bad impression.
It's been a hard time for us. Like I said, very hard time. Right, Luma?
Yeah, he seems friendly.
Oh my God, let's just start talking.
There was a meme online that I thought was funny where she was like, "Are you my father?" And he's like, "I wish I was." and then they show a picture of Natalie Portman wearing like a skimpy dress. Anyway,
very good.
So so we're talking today about Disney Plus's Obi-Wan Kenobi, the 6 episodes of it. And just, our general thoughts on it. And yeah, so you'll see if our opinions differ from each other. We actually have no idea. This is one of those things that we have not talked about prior to this point. I mean, there was like
month and a half,
little hints and stuff. Like I'd be like, hey, an episode's coming up with some awesome Darth Vader stuff, like that kind of thing. But that's it. He got a hint of what I felt during the first 2 episodes. I got a hint of what he felt during the first 2 episodes. But
nothing beyond that.
Nope. So we're about to see here for the first time. So is it going to, align with the public consciousness on this show?
I actually haven't watched any videos since the first 2 episodes on it, where it was not too well received, but I think the script has changed a little bit. I haven't watched anything about it. I kind of wanted to have our conversation, and then I was going to check everybody's stuff out.
It's changed. People felt very much the same that I'm sure you and I felt from episodes 1 through 3.
No, don't like that.
And the tide changed for episodes 4 through 6.
Great success.
I actually didn't mind episode 3 until the last third of it, but I guess we'll get to that when we get to episode 3. So we'll start at episode 1 then.
Oh, are we going episode by episode?
Oh, well, actually, you know what? That might not be a good idea, because we'll be here. It'll be a 6-hour episode, 1 hour.
Yeah,
the episodes will be longer than the actual episodes themselves.
So I will say this. The show stars Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, obviously, Moses Ingram, and Vivian Lyra Blair. Those are the ones that there is obviously some other people in there, but those are the main people.
Your lead billing. Correct.
And basically, if I were to give like a synopsis of the show, Obi-Wan Kenobi's living on Tatooine. This is spoiler, obviously. Why would you be watching this if it's not, right? Princess Leia is abducted by Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And during the slowest running sequence I've ever seen in my entire life. And there's
if that
2 of
wasn't
them.
a callback to the Three Stooges, that's their modern take on it. I don't know what that was ridiculous. I was so taken away from little Leia in the first half. Either I got used to it.
Yes.
Either I got used to it, or she was more bearable as it went on.
She stopped running. That was a big thing for me, at least.
Well, other than her talking like she's so smart and intelligent. How old are you?
Oh, I'm 10.
10.
But then this stupid bitch is running around with Obi-Wan, her face completely in view of everybody. If you're a Jedi, make me float. What's the Force feel like?
I read that Jedi can make things float. Make me float.
What?
I want to float.
No.
I wanted to wring her neck.
There was a trailer moment in that episode 2, which was episode 2, where she is like, and I don't know if it was in the trailer, but she's like, since I met you, you did this and this.
Yes, and there's like the montage of everything.
This happened to me.
How am I gonna trust you?
Yeah, exactly.
Look, since I met you, I've been chased, shot at, I almost fell to my death, and now there are inquisiting people after us.
Like, that was such a trailer moment, like throughout this entire thing, so much so.
Yes,
because it's what happens in everything, unfortunately. But yeah, so he's on Tatooine. Princess Leia gets abducted, so Bail Organa shows up to try and talk Obi-Wan out of his exile to go and find Princess Leia. And he's like, no, leave me alone. I'm not a Jedi anymore. And then he eventually gives in and then goes after her. And so really that is the entire synopsis. Well, he finds out that his old friend, Anakin Skywalker, is still alive, which he was under the impression that he was absolutely dead.
That was a great scene, by the way, when he first found out about it. And then it shows the heart pounding. You get like a little montage of flashback scenes,
right.
And it's just keeping him up at night. And then especially when he's in, I feel like I'm going to say the wrong word, but I'm going to say cryo tube, but I feel like that's wrong. But the tube thing, I love that part when he's like comparing himself to when Anakin was in the tube, and the great Darth Vader scenes, by the way,
for the most part,
of him being crispy. Very fun to watch.
Yeah, so Darth Vader, he's like, they definitely, I don't know if those two things are supposed to be happening simultaneously or they just cut it together that way, but
I think it was more like a Voldemort in your mind Force moment. That's kind of how I interpreted it.
Sure. And he like awakens in the Bacta tank, which he has to sleep in that Bacta tank every single night. I think every time he's not in the suit, to be honest with you, to try to heal his wounds. And it doesn't really seem to be working all that well at this point, but whatever. That was the end of episode 2. So give me your generalized feelings.
So, like I said in our previous video, there's just so much Star Wars content that, it's going to be a gamble whether it's all going to be good or not, right? And there's a lot of hype behind this because it's almost like, in a way, making up for the prequels with prequel content. I went into it expecting to not like it. I'm not going to lie to you. And then the first 2 episodes were kind of like, I really don't think I'm going to like this because this is really annoying. Leia, obviously.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was one of the biggest contributing factors. But by episode 3, when we started to get to the Darth Vader moment, and I really liked episode 3, and like I said, until the last third of it, when Anakin and the Inquisitors are walking around, and then they find Obi-Wan, or Anakin finds him, and then is like, I'm going to kill you how you killed me on Safa, or whatever the hell. I'm just paraphrasing. And then just throws him in the fire for like literally
Anakin,
a whole minute.
What happened to you?
I am what you made me.
Or something like that, yeah.
But he's in long robes that are flammable for a long time in that fire. And then I'm thinking to myself, did I miss something where half of Alec Guinness's body was burned in A New Hope? And it really took me out of it because I'm like, how is his hair, his face, his beard?
He had some damage to his skin, just a little bit. And the magic of Bacta tanks, truly. A character can die, they shove them into a Bacta tank, and you're brought back.
Oh, it
That's
creates
all I'm
more
saying.
it's the actual fountain of life.
Maybe. I don't know.
Cool.
There's probably rules to it, but that's what they do. A character is shot in the Book of Boba Fett, and they put him into a bacta tank, so he's going to be A-okay.
Okay, very good. So episode 3, I'm like, you know what, this is better. And then by 4, 5, and 6, I was relatively sold on it, and I think it was because my expectations were so low. You know what I mean? There was the scene in the Revenge of the Sith review from Mr. Plinkett on Red Letter Media, where he's like talking about little baby Luke and Leia when they're born at the end of the movie, and he goes, I'm fucking surprised they didn't have a little Han Solo walk up to him and say, hey, little Han Solo, meet baby Luke and Leia. And he's gonna look something like this, and it's a little kid from like rubies.com, like Halloween USA, like wearing a Han Solo costume.
Thankfully, nowhere in this film do we have to watch that scene. You know, the one where we meet a young Han Solo, who would of course look like this. It would have been really easy for George to have a little 5-year-old kid running around that ship at the end and walk up to the 2 babies and have like Obi-Wan or Jimmy Smith say, young Han Solo, meet baby Luke and Leia, and have them shake their little baby hands. It would be like Han lived on that ship or whatever, or shoehorn him in somewhere else. You'd think a toy of a young Han Solo would sell like hotcakes.
That's funny.
And that's just all I could think when I saw little Luke, doing the thing and him watching it from a distance. And then Leia just solidified it with the way she's running like this with those little legs that are this big. And everyone, it looked like this is Turkish Star Wars or something. It was just goofy.
Hopefully I don't knock anything over in the process of this. This is what it looked like. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, is this supposed to be like real running? Yeah, it made me it like infuriated.
And then it's like,
I was so angry.
Hey, hold up! Fuck you, Princess Leia!
Their justification for like the Leia Jedi training sequence in Rise of Skywalker, you know what I mean? It's like they're trying to justify things that they already made. So I don't know. So I felt weird about some things. It definitely wasn't perfect by any stretch. Don't get me wrong, but it was definitely more enjoyable than I thought.
Yes.
And I'm gonna say my biggest issue with the show was that Reva was like a fucking popsicle stick of a character for somebody that means. It was just a dry. Like the popsicle is gone. Like it was a performance I just didn't feel. Okay, when the Inquisitors get on Tatooine, and here's where my little notes come in handy, because I noticed this right away and I couldn't not say it. So that way when you edit this one, you can put the appropriate pictures in there. So they land on Tatooine with Quan Chi and Raiden from Mortal Kombat. And then there's Reva. It doesn't look like Star Wars. And then on top of that, her acting was just, well, guess what?
I know.
I'm the third sister and I'm going to get that girl.
Damn.
Like,
that's pretty good, actually. Like she looks overly American. She talks overly American. I thought about this as well. Nothing that Moses Ingram can do about it necessarily, but if they just made her British, that probably would have been okay then.
I feel like when I don't have like the notes. I don't have written notes with me, but when she talked, okay, good. Now I don't feel too stupid. So when she talked
written down,
at the very beginning, when she got on Tatooine, like I feel like she started with a British accent, like Leia did in A New Hope, but then it's just completely gone by the end of the movie. You know what I mean?
Tell me where the Jedi is, or this man and his family die.
And I don't know if I'm remembering it wrong or if it was a fucking callback, because there's just so many, so much fan service jacking off here. Like as there is with any Star Wars show. You know what I mean? But I actually that was my biggest flaw with the show, is that every time she was on screen, I was just fucking annoyed. I liked a lot of the side supporting cast. What was the one guy's name? The fake Jedi. He kind of grew on me. I like the idea
I agree.
of a fake Jedi.
Totally.
I really liked all of the seedy underbelly shit that they had on that planet. It was pretty cool. I thought that was awesome. A guy pretending to be a Jedi to get people out of the planet to swindle them, who has just magnets under his thing, and that was awesome when Obi-Wan busted him. It was so cool. And also, speaking of the real Jedi, when
his name is Haja, apparently
Haja,
I had to look that up. Obviously, it's Kumail Nanjiani that plays him, but who's a comedian, pretty notable comedian. But I couldn't remember the name.
And then the other Jedi who at the first episode was ousted in that cantina that you fake out as Obi-Wan, but it wasn't. But I really liked how they had him fucking dead and just hanging over like the city square. I thought that was badass. Oh, and then when the one stormtrooper fell in the barricade and just fucking cut himself in half, there was some cool action sequences.
Oh yeah, definitely some cool stuff for sure. The Jedi hanging up is one half of the directing brother team of the movie Uncut Gems, actually, and Good Time with Robert Pattinson. Benny Safdie is a actor, though, as well, as we saw. Everything you have said so far about episodes 1 through 3, I pretty much completely agree with.
What did you think of that underwater? That was 4, right? Yeah, that's 4.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think we're getting into 5 territory here. So remember that underwater base with like
it's the 4th episode.
Sharks? Oh, okay. 4th. With all the sharks swimming around, took me right to James Bond. Loved it. Again, I thought of you. I had so many things I wanted to say.
It's like the Castle Inquisitorius or Temple Inquisitorius or something.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what it was called.
I'll put it at the bottom of
all
the
of the scenes that were there, I loved. After they had Leia kidnapped and she was actually in the clutches, the show just ramps up.
And she decided to finally show up and be a good actress too.
If you tell me where the path is, you can go home to your family. This can all be over.
I don't know anything about a path.
Yeah,
her scenes with Reva, like, not only did I not mind Reva in those scenes, I didn't mind Leia in those scenes either when they're talking to each other.
When they were talking, my favorite back and forth they had was when Lola's her droid, right? Yeah, Lola, when she goes to send her out to get her and then she uses the Force and stops and she was like, and this was, again, the one time I didn't mind Reva's dry fucking delivery when she was like, when I was a little girl like you, I had a droid too. She had a nice monologue going back and forth.
Yeah. They were both decent in that episode. And what's funny is the setting of that episode is the setting of the end of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So it's the same place, and Obi-Wan gets inside the same way, which is swimming under the water and in through the opening. It's exactly how you enter as Cal Kestis. And what's funny,
that their underwater breathing apparatuses have changed since the prequels. They're no longer the Gillette razors or whatever. I always heard this story that like the breather was some razor or some bullshit, something weird that they repurposed.
Sure,
it looked totally different.
Well, that's what they did with everything, though. I don't really have an issue with that. For anybody that doesn't know, the lightsaber hilt is made out of mostly parts from a camera. So,
really,
yes,
that is awesome.
Indeed. So, let me ask you something, because it seems like you didn't do any research, which I'm happy you didn't. Okay. What did you think about Darth Vader's voice?
Oh, is it not David Prowse?
It's never been David Prowse.
Oh, Shoot me.
Tear the ship apart. I want them alive.
I meant to say James.
Yeah,
Earl
remember
Jones.
that? His Scottish accent.
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away.
It was hilarious and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
I meant to say James Earl Jones. Was it not?
No, it's technically James Earl Jones. What do you think that means?
Did they voice sample him from his other Darth Vader works, like they did Mr. Potato Head in Toy Story 4?
Kind of. I think Toy Story 4 was just them taking snippets of things he said and put it all together.
Okay.
This was actually an AI voice generated to sound like James Earl Jones.
Prove yourself, and the position of Grand Inquisitor is yours. Fail me, and you will not live to regret it.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Because I didn't watch the whole credits all the way through. I noticed Deborah Chow.
It credits James Earl Jones.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
But so not just the credits though, but when I was watching the actual show, listening at this point, rather, every time he talked, I tried to hear how similar it sounded. You know what? It sounded like Revenge of the Sith era Darth Vader.
Where is Padme? Is she safe? Is she all right?
It is pretty crazy, and it works for the most part. I think I'm gonna go a step beyond what you said, and I'm gonna say that it actually sounds a lot like he does in Empire.
Destroy the Emperor. He has foreseen this. It is your destiny. Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
Okay. It sounds like a much younger, more vibrant James Earl Jones. And they still have to credit him because it is still his voice they're using, just he hasn't recorded any new lines. The guy's in his 90s, I believe.
Yeah.
And he's not coming into a studio. So this is probably what they'll do until the end of time, if Darth Vader ever shows up in anything again. And
or just for films in general. Wow.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, obviously James Earl Jones is fine with it. Is his family going to be fine with it when he passes away?
Yeah, so that's another question that's going to be raised as far as like, you know, like the hologram type of shit for concerts and like the likeness of actors and characters and the deep fake things going on. It's like when an actor or actress is dead, do you think they even want to be in a movie? Like, I mean, I don't know. There's this weird gray area that we're gonna have to figure out as technology goes further.
I mean,
so very interesting.
Certain things that make sense, like Paul Walker, totally. I guarantee you, he would have been fine with them finishing Furious 7 like they did. Because after all, the movie wasn't gonna release otherwise.
Well, I think that's like a bit of a different situation. I'm saying like if they end up making
like from scratch. Now, interesting point, because we can bring up Rogue One again with Peter Cushing.
Yeah, who looks horrible in motion, but when it's paused, looks fine.
It looks pretty good. I mean, definitely just the photo of it is flawless, absolutely flawless. In motion, we
talked about it before.
Doesn't really bother me. I told you about my dad, right? Did I tell you about that?
That he didn't even...
That when we went and saw that movie, I waited until the end of the movie to tell him that wasn't a real person. And he was like, what are you talking about? Like, he didn't get it. So I don't know if that's because he's watching a Star Wars movie and he assumes this guy's a little bit of an alien or something. But he had no idea, truly no idea. Which I was like, damn. That's interesting because I obviously noticed, but I know Peter Cushing's dad as well. So I don't know. His family obviously had to sign off on that and they were fine with it. But yeah, so they don't, brag about it. It's just hidden there in the credits. They have an AI voice company that is credited towards the bottom of the credits. And that is exactly what they do, is they create AI voice. So it makes me think like, okay, so Darth Vader might have a future in the franchise outside of his next appearance, which
I was actually shocked at how
Ahsoka.
much they showed Darth Vader. I didn't think he was really going to be in it until episodes 5 and 6. And even then 6 was going to be like his big showcase episode. But I like that he was in more of them. I loved all of this, basically all the scenes between those two. Even the sequence where they were like training fighting, but Anakin was taking it a little too seriously. I'm like, dude, this is
what
did
you think about that though?
It felt a little forced, but it was just cool to see something new. They both looked a little older, but I didn't hate it.
Okay, so that's why I was asking, is that last thing you just said there. Disney
I didn't hate
are the best of the best at de-aging people. Like The Mandalorian, it was a little but in Book of Boba Fett, he is like straight up perfect Return of the Jedi Luke. You know, like Disney knows what they're doing when it comes to de-aging, right? Which again, side note, Luke in Book of Boba Fett, that was also an AI version of Mark Hamill's voice when he talks. So
yeah, that much I knew that part. So I guess I should have put 2 and 2 together, but whatever.
Yes, maybe. So their de-aging is second to none, and they just don't de-age them at all when they're in that
Obi-Wan
scene.
Particularly looks a lot older. Even down to, they didn't even bother to like comb his hair the way he has.
Well, he's wearing a wig, obviously.
Is he?
Oh, totally. Yeah, he has to have that mullet that he has in Clone Wars. Because that's where the scene takes place, is Attack of the Clones. That didn't bother me as much. Ewan McGregor is most of his oh my god, put me out of my misery now. Most of his face is covered in a beard. And so that wasn't as big of a deal as Hayden Christensen. That very obviously looks 20 years older.
In the forehead, you know, it's the wrinkles.
It's the forehead wrinkles. It's the eye wrinkles.
It almost looks like it almost looks like they tried to apply half of a Snapchat filter and then just said we're gonna focus our money on something else.
I don't think they put any into it. I think they were like, it's fine.
It looked a little smooth, but smoothly wrinkled.
Yeah,
Still,
maybe.
Don't get me wrong.
Hayden Christensen has developed these really strong wrinkles right here. Like a Willem Dafoe kind of thing. He didn't have that when he was younger. And so he has those in this. And even more so, it gets worse when he is wiping out the Jedi kids, which, side note, loved that. It basically delivered on a promise from Revenge of the Sith that we never actually got to see. Master Skywalker!
There are too many of them. What are we going to do?
It's like the producer's son or something that they just shoved in there.
Yeah, I have no idea, but it's hilarious that he murders those kids, and this time around they show it pretty good.
It actually made me like some of the prequel content. I think, and even on a visual level, I think it's a very good like marriage of some prequel aesthetics, not very many, but some, just because it's in that era, of course. And then classic Star Wars and new Star Wars all into one. I really liked the way it looked quite a bit. I thought it was very visual.
Yeah. It was fine. And that's the thing, is that there's not a whole lot necessarily wrong with having like a set that is mostly CGI. There was just everything wrong with that at that time that they did it during the prequels.
Well, because it looked terrible.
Pow, pow, pow.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Correct. So now that they have the ability to make these things
even with
look
an
normal,
all CG set, there's a very good use of practical effects, I think, in the show.
Oh, totally. I think that they just use more CGI for that shot that is supposed to take place during the Clone Wars.
Personally, any alien that's a person in a suit with
dueling.
prosthetics, I just love looking at. I love it. Like the one guy who was driving the
Zach Braff.
Yeah. So that part, I love.
That's weird.
That's a weird story.
That's a very good impression of him. But I love that his mouth doesn't really move all that well. You know, it's dubbed over, and it's
like a rat thing.
Classic Star Wars.
Good.
Yeah, like a mole rat. It looks like a mole rat.
I agree. That was good.
Well, just any of the aliens. I just love the way they look without making them CG. Like none of that Dexter Jetster shit from Attack of the Clones. You want to go see?
Oh my god!
Arms and his pants fall down, and one of his arms pull up his ass.
I gotta be honest with you, that still impresses me a little bit, as much as I hate it, because if you watch the behind the scenes filming of that scene, it was a guy that's not even wearing a mocap suit. Really? He's just doing the scene, just a normal guy, and they put that character like on top of him. They somehow tracked his movements and put that on top of him. So ever since I saw that, I was like, okay, I've gained a little respect.
Okay, well then let's just say Dexter Jetster and Obi-Wan sitting down at the table looking across from each other, where it's completely, I don't know, I prefer them in a suit.
It's still relatively impressive though. Yeah, and obviously we mentioned Reva a little while ago. Reva is one of the kids that is then, nearly mowed down by young Anakin. All her friends are killed. Her fellow, Jedi
and she's a sadomasochist.
Patriots
wants to join the Empire.
Yeah, that was like one thing that was a little confusing to me, that she does join the Empire. I understand that she did it to kill Darth Vader. We find this out in the 5th episode, of course. And she doesn't want Obi-Wan's help.
You're not serving him, are you? You're hunting him. Let me help you.
Why would I ever trust you?
Because we want the same thing.
Do we, Obi-Wan? Do you really want Anakin dead? Where were you while he was killing my friends? He was your Padawan.
Like,
after
why is she being such a bitch?
After all this trouble to find Obi-Wan, wait a minute, actually she didn't find him, he found her because the Jedi find themselves. Remember that whole speech?
You sure he's gonna come?
He fought beside her father during the war. He'll come. He won't be able to help it. The Jedi will hunt himself.
Yes, correct. And she even murders Benny Safdie in the first episode too. Like, what are you doing? And I get that she has become a little bit evil despite her mission of killing this sexy son of a bitch. She still is pretty evil because she did not want Obi-Wan's help. She still thought he was trash. And I guess because he wasn't there to help her when this all went down, which I get that, but would you still be bitter after all these years? Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah. I certainly don't want to pile on to Moses Ingram. You may or may not know, she was just attacked by fans, on Instagram. Very much the same.
I might sit here and complain about it, but why in the holy mother of God? They're just reading a script, guys.
I think that if you were to tell her that she didn't give the best performance and maybe you try to give her some pointers or something, maybe it would be better. Because I agree, her performance was not good. But maybe that's not her fault. Maybe she was just miscast. But
I would think so, because mostly everybody else was pretty on point.
Except Leia.
Make me float.
That's why I said mostly.
Yes. And so to go and like get real racist with her and stuff and, you know, call her the N-word and all that, to try to show her that you didn't want her in the show anymore. That is definitely wrong. I would never, ever encourage somebody to do something like that. As much as I dislike a character or an actor, that's never okay.
And if you're sending her bullying messages, you're no Star Wars fan in my mind. There's no place for racism in this world. And I totally stand with Moses.
I don't know.
I agree 100% with what you have to say. But yes, the bombardment on Twitter from angry fans is disgusting and stupid. Like, what do you have going on? And obviously you have nothing going on in your life if that's what you do. I don't know. Whatever. I don't want to harp on that too much because I will, but poor Moses Ingram.
I agree. So even though we said we weren't going to go episode by episode, we kind of ended up doing it.
Oops.
Whatever though. Episode 4 was the turning point for me. That was the point where I didn't have to like push myself to watch the show anymore.
Yeah, I would
every
say
other week I had to push myself.
I would say with 3 it kind of started for me, so a little bit earlier. But by 4.5, halfway through 4, right at 5, it became like I could just shut my brain off and sit back and just kind of enjoy a new Star Wars story. I guess. Like, I don't know, I enjoyed it, man.
And then episode 6 was pretty awesome from start to finish.
I mean, there really wasn't a dull moment in that.
There wasn't. There was a lot of stuff going on,
and there was no wasted screen time either. All of it was great. Loved it.
It was, and mostly. Reva's story coming to an end.
Who you become now, that is up to you.
It had to happen, but you know, maybe not coming to an end. We'll see, but
we'll see in A New Hope Part 2
coming to an end in this show, at least so far. If they do a second season, it'll be a different story, I'm sure. But yeah, and Luke doesn't remember being chased by an Inquisitor just a few years later. Like, wouldn't you think that'd be the first thing he would bring up to Obi-Wan?
Well, that's one of my problems with prequel type material, because like Plinkett said it best, like we already know what's going to happen, so there's like a lot of the suspense is gone because they're not going to die, they're not going to get seriously injured.
They can change things up though. They did it with the Grand Inquisitor and everybody lost their minds. I felt like the Joker there for a second.
Well, then everyone loses their minds.
Where they have Reva kill him and they turn him like into a little bitch basically, and we know that the Inquisitor is alive during Rebels, which is right before A New Hope. So it's like,
I haven't seen Rebels, so I didn't know that the Grand Inquisitor wasn't coming, which I loved him and his little crony.
It was good that he came back though. That was nice.
I loved him. I love that lightsaber. That was so fucking cool.
You would just imagine this guy, but 10 times more awesome. And that's the villain of Rebels.
I liked him a lot.
So just imagine that.
And
Rebels
now I have
is
no choice.
only 4 seasons long, I think. So, and he's voiced by your favorite, not in this, but in Rebels by Lucius Malfoy.
Really? Very good. Now,
Indeed.
okay, I'm sold.
Okay, good. Yeah. So
Jason Isaacs.
There we go. Ding ding. Yeah, so what else do you have to say about the last episode?
I was kind of sad that it was over. I love the fight at the end. The fight was great. It almost felt like oh my god. So that episode 6, toward the end, that fight felt like Revenge of the Sith, the expansion pack.
I will do what I must.
Then you will die.
It was it was like an extension of that Mustafar fight, but in a different way. I loved it. I loved the ending of it. I was
Much
sad when it
better
was
way.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was done very tastefully.
I thought
loved it.
Personally it was a little bit corny that they cut half of the helmet off.
I loved it though.
I knew it was coming. Something, either the helmet was going to get knocked off or was going to be cut off or something, because they need to get their money's worth from Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, for sure.
And you mentioned before that you thought Darth Vader was only going to be in the last 2 episodes. I knew he wasn't as soon as Hayden Christensen was cast. There's no way that they would just waste that money of bringing back somebody notable. I was overly aware it was Hayden Christensen, and maybe that's only because I knew it was him in the costume, and if they didn't tell us about that, I wouldn't have noticed this. But especially when he's walking through the caves, in the 5th episode before he has the fight with Reva, which was pretty awesome. Side note, it's great that he has the respect for her to actually throw her part of the lightsaber so she can have a fair fight with him, which was interesting. Before he grabs the ship and pulls it down, I was just he seems short because the camera's behind him following him as he's walking, and maybe I was just overly aware of it. I don't know, but Darth Vader is supposed to be this, very tall, foreboding presence, and maybe it's just a nitpick. I haven't heard anybody else say this, so it could just be me.
And more than one man brought Darth Vader to life in Obi-Wan Kenobi. At 6'7", Ukrainian-born stunt actor Dmitrius Bistrevsky performs the full body shots. Fellow stunt actor Tom O'Connell, easier for me to say, specializes in the fight scenes and choreography, and some bloke called Hayden Christensen does the rest.
Ian McDermott's in this as well.
Wonder if your thoughts are clear on this, Lord Vader.
That was cool. Also, I don't know who you are, and I don't know what you want. If it's ransom you are after, I can tell you, I don't have the money. I do, however, have a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a long career. Skills that make a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that will be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you do not, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you. Liam Neeson.
Yeah, I know. Remember how I said they put a bow on it and it came full circle with this episode? Yes.
Well, yes, indeed. Took you long enough. So that was cool. He had a very fake beard on. Did you notice that, or is that just another nitpick that I discovered?
Looked a little fakey fake.
I noticed it immediately, and then I was having a conversation with Jake about it, and he was basically.
I still have to talk to Jake about it.
He was leaning in the direction of me nitpicking everything,
oh, okay. So he's a fan.
Oh, totally. He loved it. He was oh, I didn't think his beard looked fake. And I was like, really? Because I could see the price tag on it.
You're fucking hilarious.
And then he was like, yeah, I didn't think Vader looked short. And I'm like, really? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see the shortness in it. I just saw the badassery mostly. I loved it. I love when he was silhouetted and they had all the lights glowing on the chest piece and the ones that were, on his legs. I think there were seeing shit.
I don't think so.
Below either that or I might be hallucinating again.
I think you might be. I saw it in his chest. Yeah, his belt. Maybe his belt is what's throwing you off.
Maybe it was the crotch piece, part of the crotch part. Yeah,
the cod piece. There was definitely no lights on that.
So the crotch thing, I call it the crotch piece, his cup. You know how it has like a
Cod
perfect
piece.
like square right over it?
Yeah, the zipper. I think it's a zipper potentially.
Yeah,
but
but
yes.
it's literally just a square. I remember in elementary school, like making a joke about this with one of my friends, and I was like, "What is it for?" And the kid said, "It's where he puts his lightsaber." And I thought it was fucking hilarious. Well, obviously he wears it on on the holster.
Yeah.
It's just funny now that I.
That's
mentioned
really
it.
weird. The kid has problems.
I expect to see a crotch shot with a Ken Burns zoom of Darth Vader right now.
Ken Burns is the best. Anyway,
is this content for kids? No.
imagine if you're putting that lightsaber into your crotch and you accidentally turned it on. Just imagine.
At an angle.
It wouldn't even matter as long as it was just turned on.
Hey, at least it cauterizes you when it cuts you, so you're good, right? In theory.
That's what they claim. So let me ask you a question. And this was based off of the conversation I had with Jake.
Okay.
And during the moment where Darth Vader's mask is in fact cut open, and he has a brief conversation with Obi-Wan and says something along the lines of, Anakin is dead, I killed him. And then Obi-Wan was like, well, then my friend is truly dead. So in that moment that they have that conversation, what were your feelings?
Actually, I think it's a very similar conversation. It's basically the same thing, but said only different. Even my brother Anakin, I hate you. I think that was way cooler and way better. I mean, It's the same conversation 10 years later. I didn't hate it. It's a little cheesy. I think the conversation is more cheesy than seeing his face, personally.
I will destroy you.
Yeah, okay.
I guess now that you mention it, I'll give it some more thought. But even at the time, I thought I really liked the emotion of I hate you a lot more. I think, of course, you fucking knew he was truly killed because you did it. Even though he says he did it, you did it. You know what I mean?
He was surprised that he was alive. He really thought he was dead. He thought he did kill him. That was the whole thing during the second episode. Like, he's been living 10 years assuming that Anakin was dead. So the shock to him was that he's still alive.
Then I guess the phrase, then my friend truly is dead, makes more sense in that context. So you know what? I'm fine with the line. Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay. It wasn't specifically the line I was asking about, just that entire scene. But I only bring this up because of the conversation with Jake. And this will be the last time I mention you, Jake, I swear. But
no, it's not.
He said that scene made him like emotional. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, you don't understand. You didn't watch Clone Wars. And I was like, no, I didn't. Does that make that much of a difference? And he's like, did you feel any emotion during that scene? And I said, no.
Which scene did you feel the most emotional then? Because there was one scene for me that really... two of them, actually.
Maybe between the brief conversation between him and Leia at the very end, when she's like, will I ever see you again?
Oh, that's cute and cheesy.
Someday.
Yes.
Maybe that. I wasn't hit emotionally really by anything.
The two parts for me both involved I keep saying Anakin and Darth Vader interchangeably. I guess it's the same thing, but when Obi-Wan does find out for the first time that who he thought was dead, Anakin, for 10 whole years wasn't. And then you just see the flashbacks and the back and forth. I don't know. It was that kind of got to me. Like, you know, you get like the goosebumps and your heart races a little bit. It's like, holy, like just the look of sheer confusion. He's panic stricken. He's sad. He's grieving. He's scared. He's just, there's so many emotions in Ewan McGregor's face of him just like basically falling against the wall and faltering, like, holy fuck. And it's like a tremor in the force has
He's
hit
alive,
him,
Obi-Wan.
and it's very emotional. I was like, this is amazing. And then when Darth Vader and the Inquisitors land on Tatooine and they're hiding in that like shipping room, and the droid has the hammer behind him, I thought that was very tense. And then the emotion behind Darth Vader when he fucking whips past these like craters or whatever, and there's like the family, he fucking kills the dad, snaps the neck of the son, and then the mom comes out with the other kid. It's like, holy fuck, there was so much gravity to that.
Don't get me
wrong,
wrong,
I have to say
I thought those scenes were awesome, but Jake's comment was eye-opening to me because I wasn't saddened by anything. Like nothing hit me in an emotional way like that. And I honestly, I was like, oh my God, like my life has been altered a little bit since then because I'm like, am I dead inside? So now I feel like I have to watch Clone Wars, and it's not going to be easy because there's 8 seasons. And I'm like, we'll see. If I ever watch it, I will come back here and we'll have a brief conversation if I am affected by that moment after watching the show. Because I was just like, I thought it was just a little bit cheesy, a little bit corny. I was expecting it kind of thing. But I don't know. Jake definitely liked it more than I did, the show in general, which is great. You know, there's a lid for every pot. Jake is much more of a prequel person than an OT person. So, you know, it's just when he grew up, you know, and yeah. So any final thoughts? What's your rating?
I was gonna say I pretty much said all my thoughts. Of course, there's 20 things that I forgot to mention naturally, as there always is when we do these episodes. But you know what? And I was thinking about the rating from Sunday. Sunday is when I finished episode 6.
Okay.
And I was leaning toward 7.5, but I think I'm bumping. I don't think, I know. I am bumping it up to that full 8 because I loved episode 6. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It has some problems, but it was so enjoyable. And I haven't enjoyed a Star Wars property this much in years. So it was so welcomed. I enjoyed it.
All right, cool. Yeah, mine is an 8 as well. It's, it is what it is. When you said for a moment there that you're going to give it a 7.5, I was thinking in my head, well, I'll probably give it an 8. But it ends up being the same. So it just looks like I'm copying off of you. And I don't care.
Again, guys, our scores are completely organic.
Yeah, totally. You've seen it before when they've been completely different. They were different for Jurassic World. And then what people don't know secretly is Lucas's score changed to mine. Just so everybody knows about Jurassic World.
Yes.
And it had something to do with animatronics.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for me as well. I would totally watch a second season if they made it, though I would also be a little bit skeptical on if they're going
what are you
too far
do?
with
it's
it.
So close to A New Hope
That's what people said about this too, is what are you gonna do? And I will say in closing that I thought they handled that last fight between the two relatively well. Also, like Vader got his ass whooped, and so it makes more sense when he gives the line like, when I last saw you, I was but the learner, now I am the master, that whole kind of thing, because that made more sense when it was 20 years prior or whatever. But now that it was just 10 years prior, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore at this point, but they gave context to it, which was very welcome. I like that because you knew what it meant otherwise, but they gave new context to it. So, and by the end, I liked Leia. I was like, okay,
me too.
I still hate the running scenes and, scenes where it sounds like she is being, too cool for school and way too smart and probably doesn't even know the lines that she's being told to speak. But she was pretty good in that last scene.
Remember one of those
like, okay.
ending shots of them two together, and like Leia like has her little baby hand on top of Obi-Wan's? Like, it literally, I know she's 10 and like I'm short too, but that literally looked like an infant's hand or like a toddler's hand.
Yeah.
Oh, like it was literally like this big.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
like this big on it. And it's like, what?
The actress
Luke is
was
a lot.
8 when they shot this, so.
And I thought Luke looked a little goofy too. I'm not gonna lie. The rosy cheeks they got, but the rest,
he has red hair for some reason. Which I will say, it does happen where red hair turns into blonde hair. Mm-hmm. That does happen,
or like blonde to brown, or I've even
yeah. I used to have blonde hair. Now it's whatever the hell this is.
I used to have black hair. Now it's brown, gray. Yeah. Brandon, I give the series an 8 out of 10. Go watch it, guys. Hey, TT, what do you think of it? You like Star Wars? I'm sure you watched this in its entirety. Did we break you?
Maybe. Yes, I give it an 8 out of 10 as well. It was it was pretty good. So yeah, go check it out. But other than that, that is all. So we're gonna leave you with that.
Bye, everybody.
I really thought you were gonna go, you will watch Obi-Wan. That's what I was expecting you to do there.
You won't be expecting what I'm going to be doing next. Bye. I'm just kidding.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Comment down below. Let us know, what did you think of Obi-Wan? Or if you haven't watched it and you still watch this video for some reason, what's wrong with you? But yeah, give us your score. And don't forget to hit that like button if you like the video. All right. We will see you all in the next video. Good day.